Plenty of real estate on this putting surface. It's on and it stays on. Long way still to go, however, for Jung So-Yi. As we've reached the bottom of the clock, it is 1:30 p.m. local time on a clear sky and chilly November afternoon. The third and final round of the SK Shieldus SK Telecom Championship. Reem Genie and Lee Dae-yeon continue to lead the 75 players in contention for the title in this season's grand final. And welcome back to what is evidently the Chuncheonshi countryside. Park Ju-young understood that the only place to avoid a fair bit of trouble was to land that short pitch onto the fringe and let the downhill and gravity do the rest of the work, but she miscalculated the speed and power she'd need. So she stays on the hill and now needs to hole out to avoid yet another bogey. The loft is there. That's what she would have loved to have done with the first. Be a relatively flat 5-footer for a bogey. Back to 7. Long run up the hill. And Pak Jin-shil will likely still be away. And speaking of long-range attempts, Jung So-ui does really well. Fortunately, won't quite be enough. Pak Jin-shil is away, but she'll need a minute to recalibrate. So Imjini is offered the chance to go ahead. This uphill putt left to right for a bird. We'll take near to 12 under. Left to right is how she played it, but the break ends up going in the opposite direction. A very subdued pump of the fist on the best shot of the day thus far for Kim Min-ju. Drops at 7, but finds her composure, regathers, and moves back to where she started the day and back into the top 5. So with the Imjini's par, Lee Dae-yeon can really turn up the pressure. Move within 1. From our vantage, right to left the break. It goes pretty quick. Now it straightens out. Seen a few putts like that, but it never makes them any less impressive the more you see them. Birdie's now at 1 and 7, the bogey at 2. And she knows how clutch of a putt that was as she goes to 10 under par. It is 3 holes on the bounce. Pak Ju-young going down after 3 birdies in a row. +1 for the day late on the front 9. And now Pak Jin-shil. Must make to save a par. Uphill, here comes the break. It comes too early. As she stands up in recognition, she's getting on the bogey bus. So not quite the 3 putts double bogey in terms of its proximity. The first was much further back, but rightfully the replay operators had it queued up and ready to go. This was at 12 yesterday. 1 putt, even longer on the second putt, another miss, and a double. You think about these 2 holes combined, erase them, couple of pars, it would be 4 strokes higher up the leaderboards and 6 under par. But alas, she drops to 2 under, which is down now in a tie for 4th position. Next up is hole number 8. It is 330 meters with a significant dogleg left. Average remaining yardage after the tee shots, 110 to 60 meters. 20 meters in terms of the elevation change, which you are climbing the whole way from the teeing ground to the green. A triangular green that really doesn't provide any straightforward or easy access. Pinned today 13 yards from the back and 5 yards from the left fringe. Imjini with a big twist as she rolls over and keeps that drive in the fairway. They always look much more shallow, but with it being 20 meters up the hill, bound to be the illusion. Ejumi, we check in with her for the first time today. She picks up a birdie just before the turn. Had a triple at 4, bogey at 6, 2 birdies, and we'll head to the 10th tee with quite a bit more confidence. Nidayan goes next and actually has closed up on the follow through and sends it as a bit of a hook into the rough off the fairway. Pak Ji-young, uphill putt for birdie at 9. She makes the turn at 2 under for the tournament. Going out with a 35, 3 birds, 2 bogeys, tied for 4th. Tough to say for certain just how perilous a lie this is, but we know it's far from ideal. It's a much better angle to the left of the tree and just laying up the swing you would make to lay up the risk you run. Can't get underneath it, can't send it high in the air, and ends up just porpoising on and off the green and settling in the rough. And she'll want to aim slightly to the right of the flag, knowing the left is where she aspires to reach. A little bit less control by virtue of this being a 5-iron. This is well right. You can see she's almost praying for it to get left. Will center itself a little bit, but quite a ways off despite still being on the green. Nidayan did in fact trickle into the second cut of rough. 133, really needs to muscle that up and out. Fortunate kick to the right. She'll be even further away than ENG. Not by much, as she eventually comes to a halt beside the player to which she trails by one stroke. And on the final hole of the front nine, Park Ji-young looking to snap the birdie run. But the slight lack of confidence right now is painted all over her face and the body language as well. Next at 8 was Peng Xin-chil, and she doesn't stay on the green whatsoever. Kim Min-ju starting to put together a tidy little run, and this approach shot is well within that pattern. Hung Yumin at long last is able to record her first birdie of the day. She goes to +4, that is tied for 20th, and 15 shots off of Im Gini, who remains in the lead from Lee Dae-yeon 11 and 10 under respectively. Chung So-hee 4 under, Park Ji-young, Kim Min-ju, Peng Xin-chil 2 under, tied for 4th. So-jin, Park Ji-young on the bottom of the front page of the leaderboard with just those 8 players under par here on a Sunday at Olivier Bell. far from ideal for Peng Xinqiu at number 8, as she had that ball settle just at the edge of the bunker with the overhanging rough. She swung with everything she had and still wasn't enough to reach the green. So she'll go again momentarily. In the interim, Zhang Sui at number 9. Wasn't lacking for speed. And now it's take 2. A little flop. Using the fringe to absorb some speed. Maybe just a bit too much of it. She will still be faced with about 5 meters and downhill. The course officials and tournament organizers have done really well to get this course playable despite the single-digit temps this week, but there's no doubt these greens will feel like concrete relative to some of the more soft greens that we've seen on warmer days with a bit more precipitation in and around the event. Park Ji-young seems to be in much better stead, and now Lee Dae-yeon. Birdie takes her into a share of the lead, but it would require a minor miracle. Starts its way downhill. Here comes the break, but she has judged that to absolute and utter perfection. T1 now with back-to-back birdies and likely feel like she's in a bit of dreamland at the minute. Quite likely 1,000 little variables that all had to come together. She started to believe towards the end, and rightfully an emphatic celebration. We will save that highlight for later on in the round, especially if it is a putt that helps her win this event. So no pressure, Imjini. They just need you to do the exact same thing from about one pace closer to retake that outright lead. Here she goes.
넘어가서 풀샷.
Well, a very long and narrow par 4, 25 meters down the hill. Lee Dayan now a co-leader. The final hole of her front 9 at 11 under, where she starts, goes a little bit right and narrowly misses the fairway. Ginny is next. It is a great rip. And after the first putt, still about 5 feet.
근데 많이는 안 보이네.
맞아.
Let's go back to 9. Just before the narrows. Second shot for Imjini. And rolling that into about 4 feet or so. Absolutely exquisite. After relinquishing her lead, a shot like that will do quite a bit of the heavy lifting as she tries to take it right back. .4 meters of a drop in elevation. Having been in the rough, losing a little bit of that out-and-out control. Recovers well. Over on 10, Park Ji-young much more precise in her approach, and that should pay some dividends. Pang Xin-shil, the last to approach, she's going to get a great little roll as well. Much better. Has to start making these putts when she plays her iron shots as brilliantly as that. On, but only just from Chung So-hee. And Bakto, big chance at a bird, but a miss to the inside.
보인다. 평지성 보고.
평지요?
네.
Back to 9 with Ida on. There's no doubt she will be feeling plenty confident with this club in her hands. After what happened at number 8, can she go 2 for 2? Just about. Might have rolled over a sliver of the cup, but not enough to change the score. Jimmy with a big response of her own. She does get her birdie before the turn and will start the back 9 as the outright leader. Close but no cigar. It will be par. Punching Shield, meanwhile, is a birdie of her own. T6 after 9, but back-to-back double bogeys will crater her chances at a win here today. Dayan through 45, holes of her tournament. Is in with a great shot. Over at 10, Kim Min-ju to move to 3 under par. But she needed that putt to move a little more left at the very end. Park Ji-young has gone quite some time without a birdie. She thought that was the hole to reset it. Fortunately, that does not prove to be true. We're halfway through the final round, and we are on our way in back towards the clubhouse and the championship presentations. We start with a 324-meter par 4. Let a Silgye-chun stream that runs across the middle of the fairway. Also a hole with a downhill slope. You get a little bit of help perhaps by using that bunker as an aiming reference, right down the middle. From there, slightly uphill towards the green, where the pin today is located 11 yards from the right fringe and 14 from the back. And for ENG, after an absolutely perfect drive to begin hole number 9, she is unable to return to the fairway. She had shot a 67 in the opening round, a 66 yesterday, and on the balance of the tournament, she has been as clinical on the back as she has been on the front. And Pengxin Shil, who is tied for 6, has the unfortunate stat of 3 triple bogeys in the tournament. That is 6 strokes. You eliminate those with a magic wand, and she is only 5 off the pace instead of 11. Ida Young's tournament thus far, a 66 and a 69. Only 3 bogeys combined this week. One of them came on hole number 2 today. She starts well and arrives in the fairway. Well, as we wait for them to reach their second shots, we'll catch you up to speed on some highlights from the front 9. This was hole number 1 for ENG. Start of the day with a 2-stroke advantage. Unfortunately, it did not go particularly well for her to begin the final round. Opening the door for Ida Young, slips in a birdie to let ENG know that she was going to be hot on her heels all afternoon long. But then on number 2, a fallacy revealed. Was never sure of that putt. Held her stance above the ball for a few seconds longer. It's generally a tell that the confidence is lacking. Then to 4, she does it again. Now in her defense, a much more difficult par putt with the break, but 2 opportunities slipped and she would see the gap widen to 2. However, from hole number 7, things would start to change. A brilliant putt. That does the Serpentine S. Starts right, heads back left, and straightens out just in time. And then her putt of the day thus far, probably the putt of the day thus far, if we're being honest. Absolutely immense. What could go on to be an immeasurable impact. Back-to-back 7 and 8. And then the hole we had just played through. ENG with a good drive to set this up. 163 remaining downhill, next to no wind. And like a magnet under the green, and somebody dragging the ball closer and closer to the pin. maybe 2 meters away from an eagle. Instead, she settles for the bird, and that is why she is starting hole number 10 with a 1-stroke lead. It's a nice vantage at the sand trap. She wants to and will be avoiding, but it is short and it is right this approach. So a few holes further forward. Far from out of the race for a podium position, but probably too little too late for the win. Park Ji-young goes up to 3 under with that birdie. And now Pengxin Xiu with that extra long drive and an extra sweet setup shot for what would be 2 birdies from 2 holes. ENG finally ready to go. Follows the same flight as ENG, gets a little bit of help back towards the pin, but not much. Pengxin Xiu likely the only birdie out of this trio. We give her a bit of a boost. We take her back into a tie for 5th position at 2 under if she can convert. Park Ji-young now up to 4th at 3 under for the tournament and 9 back of our leader, ENG. We'll be back to La Vie Belle Country Club after this short break.
들어갈 건데.
그냥 해. 그냥 하고 눌러줘.
Well, this is the 20th anniversary of the Grand Final. This SK Shieldus SK Telecom Championship for 2023. ENG with a bit of a heartbreaker, leaving that ball maybe one revolution shy of a birdie, which would propel her into a great position as she begins her back nine and looks for a tour best 4th win of the season. And with that, the proverbial door has been left open for Ida Yan. Just given a good view of the break, starting at right of the hole, coming back towards the inside. A bit too much inside, however. Now up onto 11 with Park Ju-young, looking for the left side of another fairly narrow green. Gets that pin high before it hits the brakes. Punishing shield goes shallow. That same symptom persists further down the course. Not enough carry on the green, and it rolls all the way back into the fairway on this par 3. Hole number 11 is the first of the par 5s on the back nine. 455 meters, a dogleg left, the green completely hidden prior to the turn. 210 from the tee is the beginning of the first of 8 bunkers on this hole. Obviously the one in the middle of the fairway can be cruel. Also a big patch of rough to its left. And then from that narrow strip of fairway, finally get a picture of what the green looks like. And that final bunker that's actually hidden behind the small tree, which adds one more to our cumulative total. 15 yards from the back of the green, 5 yards from the left fringe, and with that rather significant downslope, it is not one you want to miss short on. We go to this 11th green. Park Ju-young for a birdie, but that putter, much like the air temperature, remains nearly ice cold. Next to tee off is Dayan. This part here, every time she has played it, just as she has done on 10, 13, 14, and 17 on this back nine. Chung Soo-hee. Line was there, the speed was not. It is a par. Next is 13 with Park Jo-eun at 126. Short iron in hand and gets a lovely little roll. Moving more and more to the middle. Be just a short 4-footer or so for her birdie. And now Park Ji-young is next. Has to give it a good whack to climb up the rise. The weight was absolutely perfect. The slightest of misses to the right of the pin. And now the second shots for our featured group. We begin with Imjini just onto the rough. Uses that hybrid 243, clear the bunker, try and settle into the fairway, and she unfortunately is missing the final piece of that equation. Once again back into the rough. Asked for a whole lot more than that. Wonderfully struck. So be elated with that effort. Dayan short of the fairway, back into the rough. It is an 8-iron in hand for Chung Soo-hee at number 12. She is stuck in no man's land, between the two stages of the green. focused on the hands, making sure that they weren't going too early. Park Ji-young once again with the irons has been brilliant. Needs the wedges and putters to come alive. This is going to be a very helpful roll back to the middle. Expertly played by Park Young. As a birdie on the other side of 2 bogeys in a row. Ju quietly going about her business well. Didn't have much left, but to watch that ball, guide that ball into the hole.
이거 페어예요, 투구.
And Kim Soo-ji. It was a great setup shot at 14. A little right to left, and a simple downhill putt, but she has struggled with that club many a time throughout the weekend. It's one of the many reasons that she is toiling down at T20 and +2 for the round. So by virtue of being a little bit shallow on the initial approach onto the green, going to be a tightrope, and an uphill tightrope at that for Lee Dae-yeon. It is 14.1 meters short of the pin, to be precise. Let's see what she can muster up. Would have loved to have seen our putt probability number pop up before that one. Don't think she or anyone can be surprised in the outcome. Nice common or trademark, and it is only par for the course. Yes, pun intended. As she nears another top 10 finish this season. Jung So-Yi, more precise from slightly closer than Lee Dae-yeon, but also will be faced with a par putt next. After plenty of time to prepare, ENG with the opportunity to see lucky number 13 under par. 5 meters exactly. Speed just runs out at the last moment. Things are heading a little bit of frustration. Heads to 12 at 12 under par. And Kim Min-ju, a swooping downhill effort just past pin high. Couldn't come up with the birdie she sought, paying the price for being a bit short on the initial approach. So the best she can hope for is to keep ENG in arm's reach. Downhill putt, so a little tap, but that breaks to the inside almost instantaneously. And we'll see herself lose a stroke. Par 3, Park Ju-young with a chance at a birdie. Left to right, but doesn't break until she's past the hole. You have to stifle a chuckle at the sheer amount of bad luck she has found in this final round, because she has played some great golf. She's just missing that consistency with the putter. Kim Min-ju completing the middle third of the round, and doing so with a par. Lee Dae-yeon, this is to confirm the bogey. So she returns to 10 under. It's been a difficult hole, this. Number 11, anything but a certainty in the birdie searches. It leads us into a gorgeous 152-meter par 3 12th. The design philosophy for the course with the various size of rocks, saying reminiscent of an outdoor museum. And the diagonally arranged bunkers all in the same direction makes it all the more challenging to pick the tee shot strategy, because if you're short, not only is the water a factor, or the hazard a factor, excuse me, the line with which you can attack the green becomes a lot more narrow. Officially, the pin's 7 and 25. That is from the left and from the front. Here the gallery shouting words of encouragement. Influence the roll of the ball. Young for a birdie, starting this from basically on the fringe. Starts towards the middle, becomes more true. About 5% more power on the backswing. Ide on the next to tee off at 12, and she too has left herself with lots of work to do with that putter. Oh, so mean the low amateur for the tournament thus far at +3, playing a chip from off the green, and how about that? Goes up to +2, nearing a top 10 finish, and considering where the next closest amateur in the field is, she's got that title wrapped up. Jungji Hyo is next, 11 shots behind her. 2 shots behind the leader Im Jin-hee is Ida Yeon. That is the race for the win at this SK Shieldus SK Telecom Championship for 2023. We'll have more from Olivier Bell. We resume our grand final coverage in its final round and on one of its final par 3s. This is 12 with Lee Dae-yeon attempting the first birdie. Coming up short, Pak Do-eun hoping that she doesn't suffer the same fate on 14. Makes sure she gives it a good swing. For a putt that had next to no left to right break, she started that fairly significantly to its inside. And Jeannie leaving nothing to chance as she goes through the motions several times before actually executing. It's 13.8. And she's going to get this about 13 of those meters. Keeps Lee Dae-yeon within reach, but the former starting to run out of holes to make her move. And Kim Min-ju on 13, the par 4. She's going to get a great little roll back towards the middle. No issue with the speed. That is an exceptional approach shot. And now Chung So-hee is all the way to the back. In fact, she is off the back, stopping on the fringe. Kim Soo-ji will certainly be feeling like she left one on the table just a few minutes ago. Here she is setting up what she hoped will finally be the birdie on the par 5. Nice touch with the wedge. Make sure that she continues to march along, avoids dropping for a second time in the last 20 minutes or so. And Pak Do-eun to keep herself under par. She's pushed that. Looked a little bit helpless as she watched that roll by. So she'll head back down to even, leaving us with just 6 players under par. Im Jeannie, she is nowhere near even par because she has been absolutely dynamite. She is 12 holes down at 12 under. 6 to go as she chases win number 4. Off the green. We'll call that 4 feet short for Pak Do-eun. And that's a shot at redemption for Kim Soo-ji next. From a tie for 21st to a tie for 16th with one swing of the club.
플레이하겠습니다.
Here goes Chun Soi from the fringe. Ends up being slightly under hit. Tapping for par.
자,
She is third. It is where she started the day. She had been level with Peng Xin, and based on the second round scores, that is why it is the latter in the featured group.
오케이, 굿샷.
Ginny begins hole 13 with a solid drive, quite literally perfectly down the middle. And breaking down what could very well be the swing of a champion, at least with the driver. So slow until the hips come in, and the torque she's able to generate keeps her head down, doesn't deload too early, and perfect contact, skimming the top of the grass just before the tee.
굿샷.
Lee Dae-young follows suit right in the fairway. I mean that in the literal sense as well. Similar setup, but the main difference right away is just how much more that leg starts to shift a bit early, and the ball in the stance much more central than off the inside of the left heel. Drives that down, bounces the tee, and twirls the club. Ju goes to 2 under par. That is outright fourth position now. Well, it's one thing to say that today. It's another to back it up with some stats. Hasn't made a putt over 3 yards today, and averaging exactly 2 per hole. Set up, deliver, set up, deliver. No time to set up for So Jean. It's as simple as 7.6 meters and make it, or bogey. And unfortunately for her, it is the latter. Certainly changes the physics of the swing with the ball above the feet, just as it is for Lee Dae-yeon. Make out the flag in the distance, but she'll know that it's less than 10 yards from the left fringe, and that on the other side of that fringe is not a spot you want to spend any amount of time today. All the way to the back, and that it is only 7 yards from the back fringe. Here she goes. Started it right and stays that way. Yeah, Park Do-eun back to even after the last hole. She plays her iron shot, wedge shot more like, rather. And puts herself into a brilliant position to go out and recover that stroke that she had just surrendered. And Imjini follows a similar path to Lee Dae-yeon, but remains a bit more in the middle. And all day long at this 13th hole, as the home stretch begins, we've seen 15 birdies, no eagles, only 8 bogeys, and nothing higher than that. Just about maneuver that all the way up to pin high. It's well played by Peng-Shin Shil. So our third hour of coverage of this third and final round is officially underway. Peng-Shin Shil trying to scratch and claw her way back onto the front page of the leaderboard. Chung Soo-hee with 5 holes left, trails by 8. It started the day as a 2-player race. It remains as such. Who will be the champion? We'll find out in about 1 hour's time. back up with Park Ji-young. Her birdie at number 14 brings her back to 2 under. She had lost that just about 15 minutes ago at the end of back-to-back bogeys. Swooping right to left putt. Off the putter, Vida Young comes up a bit short. Of course, this tournament with quite a bit of legacy. Beginning all the way back in 2004. ENG, a 2-time winner, first in 2018, then last year as well. For reference, 12 under, which is currently the score of ENG, was what won the tournament for Jae-Hae-jin back in 2020. Jian Seoul has the tournament record at 18 under par. She shot a 66 every single round back in 2017. The wrong place at the wrong time for our camera crew. Workplace hazard. Got to keep your head on a swivel here. Advantage ENG. This would make the advantage even greater. Oh. Looked for a split second like that was going to have just enough to hang on. It's good news for the neutral who wants a race to the finish, a sprint to the finish. Also makes it incredibly good news for Idayan, who remains within 2. This is it again. Not quite ready to clinch the tournament with that putt, but it would certainly have gone a long way. 3 under with 5 holes to play would be fantastic odds. Now on 14. Jung Soo-hee with one final practice swing. Maybe a second. Needed the fringe, got the fringe. Didn't shape it in terms of her angle as well as she would have liked, and might have just taken even par off the table. Jin Chil stands up in frustration. She lets that opportunity go by the wayside. She is at even. +5 though for the day, still 2/3 of the way through this championship Sunday. Dillon goes to 1 under. Back to 2-6 after dropping out of it through 14.
여긴 그래도 피스톨 타임. 그쪽은 건우밖에 없지. 돌고 도는 거라서. 대회 때는 추워요, 맨날. 그런 거 같아. 저희 골프장에서 하지 말고.
Kim Min-ju taps it in the rest of the way. Playing in this penultimate group. Up a spot from where she began this final round at T4. And speaking of up, way up. On the teeing grounds here at 14, the par 4. First stroke of what ENG will hope will be just 3 is a good one. It's a 15-meter descent, and then it's a sharp cut to the right. With the headwind, maybe you're worried about not clearing the creek, but we're also seeing players choosing accuracy over power, going with the wedge instead of the driver. Nicely delivered by Dayan as well. Already a season to celebrate and a season to be remembered. 3 of her 5 wins coming in 2023. First back in May, the NH Investment and Securities Ladies Championship. Then she won at home, the 10th Jeju Samdasu Masters. T2 at the Haiwan Resort Ladies Open. And her most recent victory coming at the end of October. The Senju Young, the putt will feel like it was a tournament winner. Her first since hole number 5. Finally, the run of pars is over. And Park Ji-young, she will stay on the green as it loops back. A 7-time winner, including 3 as well in 2023. 2 runner-up finishes as well. Chung Soo-hee on a par save opportunity. Never broke back. Started inside, and that's where it stayed. Was inside the hole, preserving the score at 3 under par. It's officially 139 for ENG. Headed to the back right. Just like that, and she kicks back on line. Now she needs it to stop. And it does so just in time. She again clinched the win. She could significantly boost her odds if she completes that birdie. What's been most impressive this season is, with the exception of the tournaments where she hasn't really been able to get everything to click, it's actually never really too low. Unless you're thinking of the score, in which case she's low quite a bit. Idayon, her choice is a 7, 138 and uphill. Promising as well, was hoping a touch more shallow. But here comes back. Gallery shouting words of encouragement. We'll mark those putts in terms of a potential turning point. Machine Shield joins them up on the dance floor, albeit a little slow, and will be faced with about a 7-meter uphill putt for birdie.
좀 늦게 해요. 방송을 좀 늦게 해요. 샷. 둘이서 경쟁이야. 누가 돼도
이제 나이스 샷. 이제 샷.
A little divot repairing and landscaping, as she no doubt has plenty of thoughts billowing through her mind, especially seeing how close Genie is to yet another birdie. Park Ji-young's luck temporarily runs out. Just a little bit shallow on that first putt. Shield, the first putt on 14. Never had the speed to reach. She really can only focus on taking care of her game from here on out, but the mental side of it just add a little bit of doubt for ENG, but not even remotely close. She can hardly believe it. Leaves her with just 4 last opportunities at birdie. If ENG goes on and makes this, it's just about over. Bogyan, she is on 18, is looking for one final bird of her own. She completes the tournament as she rolls it in, and it's just inside of the top 20 at T19. Teal saves her par. Park Ji-young, who does the same. A monumental putt. Four feet at most, slightly uphill, marginal break.
Yeah!
And she's got it there. The lead goes to 3 with just 4 holes to play. Only her second birdie of the day, but has not stumbled even one time. Bogey free through 14 holes of action, and
멈춰주십시오. 플레이하겠습니다.
Irayan knows she's going to need a little bit of magic and a little bit of help. She has to, though, start it by not missing a similarly straightforward putt, albeit this for par. The one she had to make. She's played these final holes well. That will need to remain the case to stay in with a shot. Bakdown on 16. Play back towards the front of this green. Slightly uphill, slightly right.
걸음 멈춰주세요.
Now the home stretch begins with a final par 5 of the competition, a 505-meter dogleg left with the staged rice fields on the horizon. She's playing a cut. We'll just have to wait and see how aggressive she is playing. Keeps herself well away from trouble and deposits that into the fairway. Head hung in a bit of frustration despite
후드 밀었어.
smiling through it.
우와.
She's through 16 holes of this final round. That is 52 for the tournament, and is that a perfect even score? Generally, it bodes well for players when we see them for the first time on a broadcast. That was the case.
실례했습니다.
Well, we can be, and she can be encouraged by the fact that in this very stretch so far this week, 5 birdies, 6 of them, excuse me, 4 of them in round 1, 2 yesterday. No bogeys in this window either. Sui playing her approach, 2 shots in the bank already. Lands and sticks. Just the wrong side of the green. Can't fault the wind either, as it is completely calm over there. And now 17 as Park Young waits patiently. Here it starts for Kim Soo-ji. Here it comes back online. It comes to the bottom of the hole. Back up into the top 10 with 1 to go. 2 bogeys back-to-back, 2 and 3. 2 of them on the back 9. Kwon So-yeon was trying to finish with par, but she'll miss one final opening. I can only imagine the weight that was lifted off Park Young-geun's shoulders just a couple of weeks ago. And she finally won again, the 4th of her career, first since 2021 at the SK Network Seoul Economics Ladies Classic. That birdie propels her now to tied for 10th as well, even for the round. From frustrated to perturbed. Spending more time on this 18th green than she would have planned for. Finishes with a double. 3 holes in a row, in fact, that she did double. Tied for 42nd, plus 8. At the end of 54 holes of play. Now, Park Ju-young. We know it's going to pick up speed. What we don't know is if it'll pick up enough of it. Here it comes as well. Rolls right on past. This is where the bulk of the action is.
실례했습니다. 멈춰주세요.
Kim Jinhee asks her caddy to shout for still. The tiniest of distractions can compound. Gonna hit 5 wood off the deck. I take it back. That looks more like hybrid off the deck, which would make sense with where she's going to want to drop this ball into play.
Good shot.
247 still to go. And that is successful. Slightly different strategy for Idayan as she's gone with iron. Be more than 6, likely 5. Sends that dead straight. Will settle in just in behind Avim Genie. And now Park Ji-young on 16. Approaching and looking to stay just onto the front. Carries a bit too much, however, and even will roll up to the back rise. 3:36 p.m. local time. Genie's advantage is 3 strokes with just 4 holes to play as she looks for win number 4 in 2023. aside from the temperature, we have been absolutely spoiled with the weather here in Gangwon this week. Don't recall seeing a cloud even one time. I'm sure the players would trade a little bit of that for maybe 4 or 5 degrees, as it still remains 6 Celsius and only cooling off as we get later into the evening. Bangxin Shil on pace for her only round over par of the week, down at T7, but can still move back towards the top 5. But Young can move to a birdie. With that being downhill, and the description that we will coin as swoopy, left to right, almost crescent shape, that break. Now Eugenie, her third shot, using just about every blade of grass available in the fairway as she goes up and over the sand trap. And she too will massage that in close. I mean, surely, barring some kind of collapse, any more birdies in this stretch, she will be unreachable. All Lee Dayan can do is continue to apply the pressure, take care of her own game. Her approach just 95 meters out. So that's promising as well. Ends up the furthest back of the lot. And now we go to 18. 17, excuse me. Puck done the long way back across the width of this green. There comes the break. Not enough of it, and not in time either. Now we go to 18. Of course, with the red flag, it's a pretty easy giveaway. Downhill effort starting on its way. Now it needs to straighten out, and does just in time. Jae Reem, just her second birdie of the day in a round of 73 to conclude the tournament. T16 plus 3 after 54 holes. And now Park Ji-young for her par to stay tied for 4th, and she's done exactly that. Lee for 11 under and a birdie on the final par 4 of the course. 4.3 meters. Downhill, though. That's where things get dicey. Didn't quite have that line sorted. You can plan, you can read the notes until you're in that action. Tough to know exactly what the greens will do. Kim Min-ju just onto the green, but short-lived.
플레이하고 가실게요. 멈춰주세요.
So advantage once again to ENG. This could be it, you know. Not officially, of course. But in terms of the momentum, and only having 3 holes remaining. The leader for birdie. Continuing her ascendancy, and maybe now at the point where she cannot be caught. Back-to-back birds. 14 under, 3 to play, and 3 clear. Bang Xinju with a well-earned and hard-fought birdie, just number 2 in round number 3. And on the par 3 17th, from 160 meters, down will go Pak Jiang. And down she will go to the beach. It's 392 yards, 358 meters. One of 2 par 4s to wrap up the event. She goes down the hill once more.
자, 플레이하겠습니다.
Dayan running out of holes. To try and prevent Team Ginny from lifting the trophy in the grand final. She'd still be on for quite the payday, even if it's not the top prize of 200 million won. And the 16th green is where our featured group is headed. It's where we find Kim Min-ju and her colleagues. 11 meters, a little pitch up, and roll to a few feet. but Park Young will be hoping for your last shot of the tournament. It's certainly a great way to end the day. 4 birdies in an even par round. Finishes the tournament at +2. And now Park Ji-young for a bird, but not to be. Back to 16, Chung So-hee for her birdie. Can hardly believe that has gone missed. And Park Ji-young unable to escape the sand. Should be climbing right back down momentarily. This is the final official event of the season, but the 2023 We Made Point Award and the race to the WeMix Championship is on. 1,000,001 to be awarded to the Player of the Month. 500,000 WeMix points from next week's championship. And after the conclusion of this event, which is about 20 minutes away, the top 60 players will be awarded with NFTs. EA1, who is having a much better day, will still be pipped by ENG if this result holds. And then at the Hyundai Beach Golf and Resort in Busan, next weekend's final finale, the top 24 of that WeMix Championship will compete in a 2-round competition that we hope you'll join us for. Be a nice celebratory conclusion to what has been an absolutely brilliant season. "32 events, major memories from those tournaments." Certainly these players will have the memory of how cold they were today imprinted on their minds for some time. Park Ji-young is finally out of the sand, and our featured group is patiently waiting their turn. The green is vacated, so the all clear to play the approaches. ENG fittingly will go first. stay front right, but of course avoid falling short and falling into the sand. She accomplishes both of those feats. A little extra flair at the end. Now a roller from So Jean. She picks up a birdie on the 17th. That goes to +1, tied for 10th. Just her second birdie of the day and her first since hole number 6. So here's Lee Dayan. She has elected to take 8-iron out of the bag, but loses the handle on the follow through, and this looks well left. She'll stay in the front half of the green, but a long way out, and in fact, she'll stop right alongside the fringe. She is on hole number 18. She is playing her approach down towards it, kisses that off the fringe, and a helpful glide. Definitely being a little bit more left after the tee shot. Give you the best opportunity for success here. Lovely little up that from Peng-Shin Shield, who will be the best rookie out of the litany that participated this week. Park Ji-young will be absolutely thrilled to see this hole come to a conclusion. She's about to bogey, and that will take her to 6th with Peng-Shin Shield, unless the latter has a birdie, in which case they'll do the swap. We'll do a break and be back with more here in this final round of the SK Shieldus SK Telecom Championship in Changchunxi. We're into our fourth and final hour of coverage of this third and final round of event 32 this season. Lee Dayan and 73 other players are running out of time, running out of sunlight to try and close the gap. For many, it's about classification and final records to be etched into stone. There was certainly a moment where Bakdoan appeared to be and played like a true challenger. Finishes the tournament dead even, 72, 72, 72 from Friday to her final shot officially of the season. And Imjini already comfortably 3 ahead. This would take her to 15, downhill left to right. Don't fancy the chances, but never count her out. She rolls past and above. Idayan will be silently hoping to see that putt go missed. Now on the tee at 17, Kim Min-ju. Hit, skip, and roll to less than 4 meters from an ace. And Peng Shil for birdie at 16, not gonna have the speed me thinks and me knows now. So he is the next to play. One last pump of that 5-iron before going on the attack. Did she ever go for it there? A little extra time on the preparations. Now Imjini is ready to attempt this par putt. And she will indeed be taking that 14 under score to the last par 3. Park Sung-hyun, relative to the rest of the week, has had a brilliant day at the office. A bit of a disappointing blip to end off on. Well, she was a popular commodity this week. You can understand why. career wins in the double digits. And Ida Yan keeps her slim chance alive. Must birdie the final two and have a bit of a stumble from Imjini, which is not looking likely with how well she is striking the ball on the back nine. And here is EA1. Been shot 217 in final, but she needs a 218th. And she'll bow out, tied for 12th. 6 birdies on the day, including 4 in a row to start the back nine, but couldn't sustain it in the final few holes.
기가 가까우니까 카메라 소리 한 번씩 부탁드릴게요.
Featured group can't begin until this group has cleared out. Sui will be the last to do so. Let's look at a birdie and the opportunity to become acquainted with 4 under par. There's the tap, but no line. She'll settle for par. See what Park Ji-young has for us here on number 18. It's a decent line drive out to the left. Ju for 3 under. Uphill, 5-footer, no problem. Does really well. Birdie 3 today. On pace to go 1 under.
뒤에는 움직이지 말아주세요. 부탁드릴게요. 수고하셨습니다.
Imjini, her penultimate tee shot of the tournament, and here it goes. Why not add an ace to a near perfect day? Just a little short, but birdie, why not? I think Ida Yan's smile is one of resignation. And Chung Sui with driver in hand. Starting to get a little bit crowded on her part of the leaderboard. Doesn't risk much at all, does she? With that tee shot low and left. Five iron decided. Shield steps up and sends it. And she will be headed right up close with Imjini. She answered the challenge with a resoundingly successful tee. Zifi Dayan can join the party. 175 yards, 160 meters. Doesn't quite get the bite. She'll be the lone member of the group off onto the fringe. Closing in on the end, Sanim Ginny with the chance to see 15 under and go 4 under for the day, pulling away and having all but decided this tournament already. More from Lavia Bell after a short break. Well, it is closing time now. Just 2 holes remain. The champ is all but decided. The top 10 is feeling increasingly so. Pengxin Shields saving one of her best tee shots for towards the end, but that has been her Achilles heel. Put yourself in a great spot and fail to capitalize has been the story of her week. Now this on 18. Rolled in by Ijumi, who finishes the tournament at even. William Genie done and dusted, barring a quadruple bogey. That's how good she's been, and she will be crowned officially a champ here, and also as the win champ this season. It is a deflating way to end the tournament, a deflating way to end the season for Park Ji-young. Tied for ninth, the 74, the second time tournament that she failed to get under par. Elsewhere on the course, due to the shotgun start, we have players finishing all over the course. And Gary Park with a nice up from the sand trap. Well, she absolutely can't replicate the consecutive misses that have plagued her at times today. She might be in search of a new putter after this week, worried about some deficiencies in it. Hopefully she'll be able to iron out those wrinkles before next week's Wii Mixed Championship. Basically, congratulations being made already as they wait for the fairway to open. It's Kim Min-ju. She's going to skip that through the rough, through the fairway, and head back towards the fringe where it will finally come to rest. William Genie, about 15 minutes away from a moment three times previously achieved in a fourth and final. She has not only been great, but she has dominated to a degree that
자, 잠시만 멈춰 주십시오.
is almost shocking when you consider that of the 77 players who started this event, only 2 have achieved a score better than 3 under on what is now hole 54. Lee Dayan, of course, is one of them. She deserves big commendations, but just could not capitalize on her putts today. Was a little bit more aggressive with her final drive of the day and will settle into the rough. I imagine many of you know the routine, but worth reminding that once the putts are made, we'll see the post-round celebrations begin. We'll go through the final leaderboard, the final round highlights, hear from our champion, and then watch the actual crowning moments on the green. There was a moment there, Peng Xinshi wasn't sure if that ball was going to stay dry. It does so, but something she'll be looking to improve upon over the off-season and into 2024. There'll be some stamina and just the ability to stay engaged throughout tournaments instead of just the flashes that we've seen, because the flashes have been exceptional. It's little silly things like the putter letting her down at inopportune times, going on extended cold streaks, but take nothing away from her season at just 19 years old. 2 wins in her first season on tour, including one in October and one in May. Minju finishes with a par, 3 under, tied for third. It is an absolutely delightful end for her. Up 2 spots from where she had started the day. Her first time on the podium this season, her 5th top 10. She had a runner-up back in 2023, the Celtrian Queens Masters. Kim Min-ju back in 2021, 2 third-place finishes on the Dream Tour. She is certainly getting closer and closer to that first victory. Made 20 cuts in 2022, made 21 this year, so steady improvement, even if that win continued to elude her. Park Ji-young can share the podium if she birdies here. Right to left, but not enough. Starting that too far to the outside to allow the break to help. She recorded her first win of the season at the end of September, the Tabo House D Open. It will be her 5th top 10 of the year, as she just misses out on the podium. A few too many bogeys on the front 9. Some great approaches. Couldn't get the putter to agree when the driver was as brilliant as it was. Chung Soo-hee, 2 bogeys in this final round. No birdies yet. She can change that with 1 swing. But she pulls it, and as disappointing as it will be, it's a little bit frustrating nevertheless, but fitting. 74 in the final round. She finishes on the podium for the 2nd time this season. Had a runner-up at the OK Financial Group Open back in mid-September. Other brilliant results here at the VA Bell. First full season as well on the senior tour. Not done entertaining. She is shot making to the bitter end. And also able to reach and stay, or maybe not. It's going to be a bitter pill to swallow. She gained 3 strokes yesterday, Bangxin Shield. Unfortunately lost 5 of them today. And she too will stop at the border of the fringe, but will still have the honor of being the only multi-winner out of the rookie class. And as this final group makes their way onto the green, they will be announced by the public address announcer, and then we will prepare for the final shots of the tournament and of 2023. Making sure no one's line is impeded. She'll have to wait for her tap-in finale.
임진희, 이다영, 강신실 선수에게 뜨거운 박수 부탁드립니다.
Dayan, an 8-time winner in her career. 2 of them came this season. And for the first 2.5 hours or so today, she was right in on the push for win number 9. Back to 5, Gary Park for her par. '73, middle of the pack in terms of her results this week after a very disappointing 78 in the opening round. But the reality is, in a final round, the margins are so slim. The biggest difference between she and Amy Jung were the bogeys. 2 and 11. Was never able to reach 12 under, which Amy Jung had done on hole 9 before the turn. And some symmetry with 11, as that is her remaining distance to the pin. No break, if any. It went the opposite direction. Shield, same fate, obviously. You're not allowed to watch somebody else's putt path If she had, she would have known the break might have been the opposite way. Just the 6 birdies here all day long. 18 proving to be an effectively challenging hole. Hidayan has a great chance to make it 6. Make it 7, excuse me. She'll join a very prestigious club. And 16 under. The second best aggregate total. 15 already is, but 16 is oh so sweet. Win number 4 and the multi-win champion. No one was able to do it 4 times but Amy. And ENG, my goodness, played some of her best golf of the season today. 67, 66, and 67 again. The only disappointment will be the fact that EA1 was out of reach for the prize money and point totals. Could be splitting some hairs to find faults in this final week. Pengxin Shield, top rookie in the final event of the year. She pars to finish in sole possession of 6th. ENG is gonna hope that the water bottle showers don't happen today because it is currently 4 degrees. But in case they do, that park is gonna have to stay dry. And Hidayan, the last of the 75 to conclude their tournaments. She finishes as the runner-up. The SK Shieldus SK Telecom Championship. Brilliant weekend. She and ENG far and away the class of the fields here at La Vie Belle. And ENG will finish with 1.145 billion won in prize money this season. Not too shabby at all. Very respectful, I might add. It's a little bit weird to not see the water bottle shower, but I think everyone can go, hey, it's almost freezing outside. We don't need to get anybody sick. Hopefully next week in Busan, a little bit warmer. Reminder of the order of events. Scorecards will be signed. We'll go through round highlights. Final leaderboard. The championship interview, and then the awards presentation on the 18th green. Well, the putt that clinched it. Downhill, one final birdie. 5 of them on the day, not a single bogey to be found on that scorecard. And title number 4 for the 25-year-old this season.
끝나면 바로 세레머니 해주세요. 이거 있어요. 저쪽 나와서. 네, 나와서. 조정희 위원장님. 세레머니 들어갈 겁니다. 네. 그린 쪽으로 주시면 됩니다. 그린 가운데로 가시죠. 이거 장갑 꽃가루 뿌릴 겁니다.
I'm starting to feel like any other day at the office as the supporters begin to make their way onto the buses to head home for the weekend and also try and find some warmth. Those that stuck around deserve a ton of credit. Watching golf for several hours in single-digit temperatures is only for the truest of fans and not for the faint of heart. And they've decided to compromise with a flower shower instead. And while we wait for Imjini's interview to begin, there's a few more details on next week's WeMix Championship 2023. Obviously an event that they're very excited for. Actually, she's ready now. Let's pause. We can bring that to you afterwards. Here's Imjini.
안녕하세요. 감사합니다. 일단 이렇게 시즌 4승을 하게 돼서 너무 기쁘고요. 영광인 것 같아요. 네, 좀 추워요. 일단 초반에 좀 추웠어요. 그래서 좀 공격적인 플레이보다 안정적으로 좀 기회를 기다렸던 것 같아요. 한 15번 홀 버디 치고 나서요. 네. 네. (100점) 만점에 100점 줘야죠. 네. 근데 솔직히는 이게 큐스쿨 시드전이라는 게 많이 부담스러운 곳이거든요. 그래서 아직 적응도 해봐야 되고 아직 잘 모르니까 그냥 최선을 다한다는 생각으로 하고 있어요. 네. 네, 팬분들을 비롯해서 저희 지니어스 그리고 추운데도 와주신 갤러리 분들 그리고 저를 도와주시는 많은 스폰서분들과 안강건설 안재영 회장님까지 너무 감사하다고 말씀드리고 싶어요. 감사합니다.
Our sincere congratulations on a 4th title to ENG as this 2023 season, at least on the course, has come to an end. Let's go through the round highlights as we prepare for the prize ceremony to begin, and let's be honest, this should have been our sign, the sign, really, that it was going to be a fight to the end. Trading shots, and after ENG's miss, Idayan threw her hat back in the ring, picking up her birdie to move within one. And the impressive thing was ENG was able to maintain the composure despite needing to wait a while for a birdie, playing par golf while Idayan went a bit more like a yo-yo, up and down, birdieing the first, bogeying the second. Then we go to hole number 4. Chance to move within one yet again. You could tell just by the way she had it lined up that the break was going to be substantial. Gave herself too much leeway to the outside right of the hole and would force herself to stay 2 back. Then on to hole number 5. Pak Ju-young 70 meters out. 470 this particular par 5, and she just about spun it in for an eagle. It was the end of 3 birdies on the bounce. She'd only have one more throughout the rest of the day. Then on to 7. Speaking of birdie runs, it would start here. Started to look like it was moving away, but straightening out just at the last moment. And she'd return to the score where she found herself after hole number 1. Wangxin Shiel trying to save a par at 7, but the putter was anything but a preferred club for her this week. It caused her more headaches than smiles. She just was not able to stay out of her head on those 1 to 2 yard putts. Unfortunate to see, but part of the growing opportunities for these young rookies. Next up is hole number 8, and it is where Idayan would get her 2nd birdie in a row, and it could have been a turning point. Up to 11 under, a co-lead. Imjini would par that hole as well, but then things would turn for the better for our eventual champion. 163, her second shot on the par 4. And it was a thing of beauty. We'll get the run to work closer to the cup, and then the roll back towards the center. She would then step up, deposit that to the bottom of the cup, restore the lead, and from there, never relinquish it. Out with the 35 she'd go. We, in the meantime, would go to 11, and the undoing, bogeys and missed opportunities for birdies. That combination did not spell enough of a challenge. That would be her final bogey of the day, Lee Dae-yeon, to be fair. Then on 13, with the Genie, could have gone 3 clear, and she nearly did, as she did the 90-degree snap to the left, and the ball would stay out. On 14 then, another chance to put the pressure on, and this one was nowhere near. The reaction says it all. Meanwhile, door opens a little bit wider for Imjini. We get her first birdie of the back 9 on 14, 1 of 3 in the final 5-hole stretch. The next being 15. Just the slightest of taps downhill on the money to 14 under she would go. She would par number 16, as would Lee Dae-yeon, and then she would continue her excellence on this hole, having birdied it on Friday and yesterday's Saturday round as well. Close to the fringe, exactly where she needed to be. Lee Dae-yeon was too long on the tee shot, this trying to come back and a little bit too late, as it took her a full 9 holes to get back to the birdie column. And then this on hole number 9 for one final birdie. Her 200th and final shot of the tournament. She would win the SK Shieldus SK Telecom Championship, the grand final for 2023, by 5 strokes. Well, it add to her incredibly impressive 2023 campaign that saw her win for the first time in mid-May the NH Investment and Securities Ladies Championship, the 10th Jeju Samdesu Masters as a Jeju native. That one was special in August. The Sangin Hangyang TV Open, not the most recent event, but a few weeks ago, nevertheless, in mid-October, and of course today, the 2023 SK Shieldus SK Telecom Championship for a combined season-long prize money total of 1.145 billion won, trailing only EA1. Park Ji-young, she's up there in the top 3 in the prize money totals as well, but admittedly a difficult day for her, as was the case for Hung Yoo-min, who would shoot 4 over par to finish 4 over for the tournament. Lee Ji-hyun 3 out of 1 under round. Chung Ji-min 2, 3 under today, tied for 36th at +7. And our defending champion, Peng Min-ji. She would be much better today than she had been. She would climb 10 spots today with an even par round after a 71. Yesterday it was the 83 to open the tournament. That would be the undoing. You'd call that even an even par round. She could have been in for a top 10. Still some players to finish out because of the nature of this shotgun start. Hong Jung-min, one of them. Her par to make the +3 tie for 14th official. Her best round of the tournament. And ready to go now on the 18th green as our champion makes her way over, being escorted by the ADT security guards, part of the SK Shieldus family. Let's watch and listen in to the final award ceremony of the campaign.
이 대회 올해로 20차례를 맞이하고 있는데요. 이렇게 멋진 대회가 열리게 힘써주신 분들을 하나하나 소개해드릴 때마다 뜨거운 박수 부탁드립니다. 먼저 대회 주최사 SK텔레콤 유영상 대표님 자리하셨습니다. 다음은 SK쉴더스 이용환 사업 총괄님 자리하셨습니다. 다음은 한국여자 프로골프협회 김수미 수석 부회장님 자리하셨습니다. 네, 마지막으로 멋진 코스를 제공해주신 나브에벨 컨트리클럽 이정현 대표님 자리하셨습니다. 자, 특별상과 그리고 우승자 시상 이어갈 텐데요. 먼저 홀이 넣은 4번 홀은 신동아 골프에서 제공하는 다이아몬드 1캐럿, 7번 홀은 BMW 공식 딜러사 도이치모터스에서 제공하는 BMW 320i 차량, 그리고 12번 홀은 3,500만원 상당의 덕시아나 침대, 마지막 17번 홀은 650만원 상당의 누하스 휴식 패키지가 준비되어 있었는데요. 자, 이렇게 모든 파3 홀에 부상이 걸려 있었는데 아쉽게도 주인공은 나오지 않았습니다. 또 코스 레코드 라비에벨 컨트리클럽에서 현금 300만원을 준비하고 있었는데 이 또한 주인공이 이번에 나오지 않았습니다. 내년에 기약해 보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 그럼 바로 우승자를 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 2023 KLPGA 투어 시즌 마지막 대회 SK쉴더스 SK텔레콤 챔피언십 2023 우승자는 1라운드 67타, 2라운드 66타, 최종 라운드 67타, 합계 16언더파 200타로 우승을 차지한 임진희 선수입니다. 여러분 뜨거운 박수 부탁드립니다. 시즌 마지막에 화려하게 장식하면서 결국 최다승자로 마무리를 하게 됐습니다. 먼저 SK텔레콤 유영상 대표 이사님께서 우승 자켓과 트로피를 전달해 주시겠습니다. 엄청난 기록을 만들면서 마무리하게 됐죠. 임진희 선수에게 다시 한번 뜨거운 박수 부탁드립니다. 이어서 SK쉴더스 이용환 사업총괄님께서 2억 원이 들어있는 머니박스와 우승자 부상을 전달해 주시겠습니다. 이 대회만의 시그니처 세리머니죠. 머니박스 전달할 때 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 가져가겠습니다. 감사합니다. 자, 그러면 우승을 차지한 임진희 선수의 우승 소감 한번 들어보시죠.
For the fourth time and for the final time in 2023, ENG crowned a champion as she wins the SK Shieldus SK Telecom Championship by 5 strokes, the grand final for the season, and with it has secured the most titles in this 2023 KLPGA Tour season. It's not done completely. In terms of the golf, we do have 2 more rounds for you, a very special tournament coming up next week in Busan. The first blockchain-based golf tournament, the WeMix Championship. We can confirm 20 of the players who will begin on Saturday. We'll be playing match play golf. It's Kim Min-biol, Kim Soo-ji, No Seung-hee, Matasom, Park Yeol, Pang Min-ji, Park Ji-young, Park Young-kyung, Pang Shin-sil, Sung Eugene, Lee Ga-young, Lee Da-yeon, Lee So-mi, Lee Ae-won, Im Ji-ni, of course, Chun Ye-sung, Chung Yoon-ji, Jae Rim, Hong Jung-min, and Hung Yoo-min, with the final 4 players to round out the 24-player field to be announced in the coming days, just as the final stats for the season will be made available shortly. We want to extend our sincere thank you to you, the viewer, for being with us for the 32 events this season. It was such an incredible season with first-time champions, new multi-champions in a single season. Im Ji-ni and Lee Ae-won, certainly the cream of the crop in 2023. For all of us at SBS Golf, I've been Adam Jenkins. Thank you for joining us this weekend for this final, the grand final of the year, and we hope to see you back for something a little special next weekend in Busan. Until then, enjoy your weeks, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon as we say farewell to the 2023 KLPGA Tour season.